course, it's sad, but this is sport. But it seems like to be a challenge for me, and I like to accept like tough challenges.
If you had told me that years ago, I would have, my mind.
20 years old, Filipino, and training on clay in Mallorca with Toni Nadal standing a few feet away, watching every single step. Let that image sit for a second, because when Alex finally talked about what those sessions meant to her, she didn't give you a polished PR answer. She said if someone had told her this was coming years ago, she would have completely lost her mind. That's not a talking point. That's a person realizing their life has taken a turn they couldn't have scripted. And that moment, that one sentence, is the thread that pulls this entire story together. So let's go back to where it actually started, because this didn't come out of nowhere. Earlier this year, Alex was riding a wave of hardcourt momentum that had the tennis world paying serious attention. She was winning matches on big stages, showing a game that looked mature way beyond her age, and people were starting to ask real questions about her ceiling. But here's the thing about hardcourt success in women's tennis. It gets you noticed. Clay is what gets you respected, and Alex's team knew that. So instead of coasting into the European clay swing on confidence alone, they made a decision that most 20-year-olds at her level simply don't make. They went back to school, specifically the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, and not just to use the facilities. Toni Nadal, the man who spent years in Rafael Nadal's corner shaping one of the most dominant clay games the sport has ever produced, was there working directly with Alex and her team. Not as a permanent coach, not as a headline grab, as a surgical presence. Someone brought in to address specific problems on a specific surface before a specific set of tournaments. That kind of targeted intervention is actually rare. Most top players don't seek outside voices mid-season. There's ego involved, there's risk of disruption. There's the very real possibility that new information creates more confusion than clarity. Alex and her team chose the disruption anyway. And the things they focused on in those sessions weren't flashy. Movement, sliding, learning how the ball feels different off red clay versus hard surfaces. The kind of details that don't show up in a highlight reel, but absolutely show up in a scoreline when you're deep in a third set at Roland Garros. Toni Nadal doesn't teach power. He teaches patience, structure, and the discipline to build a point properly on a surface that punishes shortcuts. That knowledge lives in his bones from decades of watching it work at the very highest level. Passing even a fraction of that understanding to Alex before Paris is not a small thing. It could genuinely change how she survives on clay, and more importantly, how she makes opponents uncomfortable. Greg Rusedski put it plainly. He said being at the academy with Rafa on clay, she knows what to do now, and it's going to be harder for people to hit through her. That's the kind of endorsement you listen to. Rusedski has been around elite tennis long enough to know the difference between a story that sounds good and a development that actually moves the needle. When he says it'll be harder to hit through her, he's not talking about marketing. He's talking about court positioning, weight transfer, recovery patterns. The small mechanical things that separate clay survivors from clay contenders. And then Alex took that work straight into competition, which is the only place it actually counts. Her first match of the clay season came in Linz on April 7th against Julia Grabher. 6-4, 6-3. Clean. Controlled. No drama. She came in, she executed, she won in straight sets. Now that might sound ordinary written down, but think about what it actually represented. She had just spent a week rebuilding parts of her game with a legend's uncle. Then she walked straight onto a clay court in a professional match and handled it. The nerves, the adjustment, the pressure of proving the work meant something. She handled all of it. The next match told a different story, and honestly, it told a better one. Yelena Ostapenko, a former Roland Garros champion who hits the ball about as hard as anyone on the women's tour, pushed Alex to 6-4, 7-5 before getting through. Alex lost, but watch that scoreline again. 7-5 in the second. That's not a player getting blown off a clay court. That's a player making a former major champion work for every single game. The sliding was steadier. The spacing looked cleaner. The rallies were stretching longer on a surface where Alex had previously been easier to put away. Losing to Ostapenko in those circumstances is not a failure. It's information. It says the work is translating. It says the gaps are closing. And then Stuttgart happened. Leylah Fernandez beat Alex 6-1, 6-4 in the round of 32. And that result is important because it strips away any temptation to turn this into a fairy tale. Toni Nadal is not a magic wand. Clay training doesn't become instinct in a week. Fernandez is an excellent player who came in sharp and took her chances. And the scoreline was honest. 6-1 is a rough first set by any measure. But here is what matters just as much as the result itself. Alex didn't disappear. There's no injury, no withdrawal from the clay swing, no quiet retreat back to a surface where she feels safer. She took the loss, she took the lesson, and the schedule kept moving toward Madrid and Rome. That's not a small detail. That's character. Because the temptation after a 6-1 first set against a player ranked below you is to find a reason to step back. She didn't. Now, somewhere in the middle of all this, a different conversation started taking over social media. If you've spent any time on tennis YouTube in recent weeks, you've probably seen the thumbnails. Reactions, outrage, the world number one apparently furious about Alex's rise. Aryna Sabalenka supposedly threatened by what's happening. Here's where you have to be honest about what's real and what's manufactured for clicks. There is no verified quote from Sabalenka about Alex. No press conference statement. No social media post. Nothing confirmed. The thumbnails are real. The actual content behind most of them isn't. But, and this part is worth sitting with, the reason those thumbnails exist is because they're pointing at something true even if the specific drama is invented. Sabalenka has worked incredibly hard to reach number one. She's earned it. And now a 20-year-old from the Philippines is walking into the clay season having just trained under Toni Nadal and quietly building a game that could eventually threaten the very top of the sport. That tension is real even without a single confirmed quote. The established order and the incoming wave. That's not manufactured. That's just tennis. And for people who've been watching Alex closely, there's something else sitting underneath all the noise that deserves to be said clearly. Filipino fans and Southeast Asian tennis audiences have waited a long time for a player in this conversation, not someone who gets a wild card and makes a round, a genuine contender, someone whose preparation matches her potential, someone who earns her way into difficult draws on merit and then makes those draws uncomfortable. Alex is becoming that player in real time, and the Mallorca training block wasn't a photo opportunity. It had technical substance behind it. That matters, because representation without substance is hollow. What's happening here has roots. There is real work underneath it. When Alex talked about the experience publicly, she didn't use the language of someone going through a media obligation. She said it was fantastic. She said she felt genuinely privileged. She talked about Toni's knowledge and how he was able to help her entire team, not just her individually. And then she said the thing that landed hardest. If you had told me this years ago, I would have completely lost my mind. I wouldn't have believed you. You don't say that on autopilot. You say that when something has crossed a line from dream into reality and your brain is still catching up. That's the sound of a breakthrough becoming real in her own mind. And those moments in an athlete's career are not ordinary. They tend to mark something. So where does all of this actually lead? Madrid is next. Rome follows after that. And then Roland Garros arrives at the end of May with all its red clay weight and all its history and all its demands. For years, the narrative around Alex was written around speed and power on faster surfaces. Mallorca started rewriting that narrative. Linz added a line to it. Stuttgart crossed something out and made her rewrite it again, honestly. And Madrid and Rome are the next pages. If the movement improvements keep showing up, if the rally tolerance keeps stretching, if opponents keep finding it harder to put the ball through her the way Rosetsky described, then by the time the Roland Garros draw is released, nobody with a high seed is going to want Alex in their section. A second-week run in Paris is no longer a fantasy to be politely dismissed. It's a possibility that deserves to be said out loud. Not a certainty, but a real possibility with actual foundation underneath it. And there's a question worth leaving you with as this whole story heads into its most important stretch. With Toni Nadal's clay knowledge now part of her preparation, and Madrid and Rome about to answer whether it sticks, does Alex make her statement early? Does she announce herself in Spain or Italy? Or does she hold the biggest moment for Paris itself, for the red clay cathedral, where legacies actually get written? That question is live right now. And the people who understood what those Mallorca sessions meant before the noise started, they've been watching this unfold with a very different kind of attention. This channel is where that kind of read gets made. Stick around, because Alex's clay story is not finished. It's just getting to the part where it actually gets interesting.